Hello everyone, this is LATHA AKULA. In this video, we are going to study about the classification of essential elements. In the last video, we have studied about the criteria of essentiality and hydroponics, right? And now we'll see about the classification of essential elements. So here, these essential elements have classified into various categories based on quantity requirement. And what are the categories? Here, based on the quantity requirement, these essential elements are categorized into two broad categories. One is the macronutrients and another one is the micronutrients. So what are macronutrients? So these macronutrients, these elements are present in easily detectable amounts. That means these macronutrients are required in major amount, right? Hence they accumulate in the large quantities in the plant body also. That means they can be easily detectable. But whereas these micro elements are required in less quantities and they accumulate less amounts in the body, and when we detect elements in the plant body, can be present in very small or trace amounts. And if we see the total dry weight of the plant body, the concentration of the detectable concentration of these macronutrients is more than 10 millimoles per kg per kg. But whereas the micronutrients, if we detect them in the dry weight, concentration of these elements is less than 10 millimoles per kg of the dry matter. We can detect this much less amounts they were present. And if here these macro elements, they're helpful in the building the plant body and also different protoplasmic constituents. But what is the function of these micro elements? They're helpful for the various enzymatic activities. And these macronutrients, if the concentration of these macronutrients are available more than their requirement, they will not cause any problem. But if the concentration of these micro elements was slightly excess, then they causes the toxic effects to the plant body. And out of 17 essential elements, 9 elements are called as macro elements, macronutrients, and 8 elements are called as micronutrients. So what are the 9 macronutrients? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium and calcium. All these 9 are called as macronutrients, whereas the 8 micronutrients are the iron, zinc, manganese, boron, copper, molybdenum, chlorine and nickel. These 8 are called as micronutrients. So not only these 17 essential elements, there are some other elements are also required for the higher plants, and those elements are called as beneficial elements. So what are the beneficial elements? Sodium, silicon, cobalt and selenium. What are the beneficial elements? Sodium, silicon, cobalt and selenium. These 4 are called as beneficial elements. So this is about the based on the quantity requirement. And another one is on the basis of function. The elements were classified into 4 broad categories. The first one is structural elements. Structural elements are the elements, they are the constituents of the biomolecules. What are the biomolecules? Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, amino acids, nucleic acids, right? So in those biomolecules, these elements are the constituents, and hence they are the structural elements of the cells. We know all the cell body is made up of several biomolecules, right? And these structural elements are the constituents of the biomolecules. Hence these structural elements are present in the plant body and also in the cells. What are the examples of these structural elements? There are 4 elements are present. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen are called as structural elements. Out of these 4, the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are the components of the cellulose, which is the constituent of the cell wall, right? And yeah, so carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are the components of cellulose and other biomolecules, and whereas the nitrogen, it is the constituent of the amino acids, proteins and chlorophyll. The amino acids, proteins and chlorophyll, nitrogen is present. And next one is a ATP. So components of energy related compounds. So some elements such as magnesium and potassium, they are involved in the energy related compounds. Here the magnesium, it is a component of chlorophyll. We know chlorophyll, it is involved in the photosynthesis. By means of the photosynthesis, food material is prepared, right? And phosphorus, it is the component of the ATP. ATP is called as energy currency of the cell. And some enzymes, they may act as the enzyme activators and inhibitors. Some elements may act as enzyme activators and inhibitors, like magnesium, zinc, molybdenum and manganese. So here the magnesium, it is an activator for enzymes like ribulose bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase and phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. Here this rubisco and pepcase, these two are involved in the carbon fixation reaction in the photosynthesis. So for these two enzymes, what is an activator? Magnesium is an activator. And next one is zinc. Zinc is an activator for alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme. And molybdenum. Molybdenum is an activator for the nitrogenase enzyme. So this nitrogenase enzyme is involved in the nitrogen metabolism. In the coming videos, we are studying about nitrogen fixation, and then we will study about nitrogenase enzyme. Here for the nitrogenase enzyme, what is an activator? Molybdenum is the activator for the nitrogenase enzyme. And manganese. Manganese is involved in the breakdown of water molecule during the photosynthesis reaction. And the next one is maintaining osmotic potential. So we have studied already about the osmotic potential, right? Here this osmotic potential of cell sap, it is maintained by several inorganic salts such as nitrates, chlorides, potassium ions, sulfates, etc. This osmotic potential is required for the water absorption and also maintaining the cell turgidity. For that, osmotic potential is required. So apart from this, there are some other mineral elements. They perform some other functions, like first one is the movement. Potassium ions, they play a major role in the closing and opening of stomata, right? Here this potassium ions, they play important role in the closing and opening of the stomata and other Turgor movements also. And next one is buffer activity. Buffer activity means what? Some phosphates and their salts, they have buffer activity. What is meant by buffer activity? Some buffer solutions, they can resist the even some pH changes, pH high or low changes. So those changes can be resisted by these buffer solutions, right? Here this phosphate maintain the buffer activity in the cells. And essential elements can also be categorized into two categories on the basis of their availability. Some essential elements are available in the soil and some essential elements are available in the air or water. So based on the availability, they were classified into mineral elements and non-mineral elements. The elements which are not available in the soil are called as non-mineral elements. That means where they are available in the water and atmosphere. So in the atmosphere, we have if we see in the non-mineral elements, there are three non-mineral elements are present. They were carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. These three are not available in the soil. And carbon is available in the carbon dioxide, water, hydrogen is obtained from the water, and oxygen is obtained either from the air and water. And hence they were called as non-mineral elements. Non-mineral elements, the total body dry weight, they constitute nearly 94% of the dry weight is made up of these carbon, hydrogen and oxygen only. And all the remaining elements which are obtained from the soil are called as mineral elements. And here these mineral elements examples are the phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, magnesium, calcium, iron, zinc, manganese, boron, copper, molybdenum, chlorine, nitrogen. Except these carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, all are the mineral elements only. And some elements are called as critical elements. Some elements are called as critical elements. Examples for those are nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus are called as critical elements. And some elements, they will act as a balancing elements. That means they counteracts with the toxic effect of some other mineral elements. So hence they balances the their activity. Examples for them were calcium, magnesium and potassium. They counteracts with the toxic effect of the other mineral elements, hence they were called as balancing elements. So this is about this concept. In the next video we are going to study about role of macro and micronutrients.